Good afternoon, everyone. Thanks a lot to be there with us for a new Campus France Live. We're going to discover higher education in France and to talk about Sciences Po Undergraduate College. Let's have a few words about the bachelor's degree program of Sciences Po. It's a program in the Humanities and Social Sciences founded on three central pillars: academic excellence, an international outlook, and civic engagement. And to talk and answer all the questions that you have, I'm very pleased to welcome Professor Stéphanie Balm. Hi.
Hello, good afternoon.
You're Dean of the Undergraduate Studies. We're also with Anita Perez. Hello. You're International Admissions Manager. And we are with three different students, Marie-Thérèse Tamp, David Struder, and Durga Chaloli. And they're waiting for all the questions that you can begin to ask on the different chat sections. But to begin, can you, Stéphanie, present Sciences Po in a few words?
Well, first of all, thank you for the invitation and good afternoon, everyone. Sciences Po is a French Ivy League. It's a selective university founded in 1872, which means 150 years ago. And we are, we do focus on social sciences. And we, as you said, we have a very important international outlook, as most of our students, more than 50% of our students come from, have an international background. And we also, at the undergraduate studies, focus 1 year of our study abroad. So we are very international, we're very diverse. We focus on the issue of responsibility. And we are a humanities and social sciences university, I would say a French Ivy League.
And what is undergraduate college? Can you present it also in a few words?
Sure. So the undergraduate studies at Sciences Po, well, it's the first pillar of our, of our school, because we do offer master degree programs. We do offer also PhD programs. And so the undergraduate studies makes the first 3 or 4 years of your studies at Sciences Po. And I mean 4 years because some of our students actually enroll in our double degree programs, and our double degree programs are made of 4 years. So they are the first 3 or 4 years of our studies at Sciences Po. And basically what we do is we focus, as I said, in social sciences. We do focus on 5 main disciplines of social sciences: history, economy, international relation, history, sociology, and political humanities. And we do that the first year. And the second year, we focus on interdisciplinary studies. What we do is we combine these different disciplines. And the third year, we send our students abroad to one of our 480 plus universities partners. This is what we do on the disciplinary aspect. But what is very important for us as well is we have a program called the Civic Engagement Program, which means that we ask the students to be committed in the places where they are and to contribute to their communities. So this is basically what we can say in a very, very quick way about what the undergraduate studies are about at Sciences Po.
And that's a very good way to discover Sciences Po. And what are the different programs and the campuses related for the undergraduate students?
Right. So actually, for those of you who know Sciences Po, as I said, has been founded 150 years ago in a quarter which is well known all around the world, which is Saint-Germain-des-Prés. It's very well known because it's the former intellectual, I would say, typical touristic quarter of Sciences Po. But 20 years ago, one of our former presidents actually decided that we should also, build and actually open branches of Sciences Po in France in different regions. And we end up now today by having 7 different campuses all around the world. So I'm actually the dean of these 7 different campuses around the world, I would say, around France, sorry, but France is at the heart of the world. No, I would say we have 7 different campuses, 1 in Paris and 6 in what we call les régions. So it's in medium-sized cities of France. The actually biggest campus of the undergraduate studies at Sciences Po is no more Paris. It's the Reims campus. It's located 55 minutes away from train station from Paris. And so we are at 7 different campuses. And what we are doing is actually we offer this very same diploma for every single student, wherever you are in France. So it's very important for me that you understand that wherever you would like to study, you will be provided by the same diploma. But then, yet, what we do offer in each of our campus is a different minor, and the minor is a geographical minor. And each of our campuses, which are all bilingual and all focus on European studies, they do offer a different minor, geographical minor. Let me give you some examples, and some of our students can explain to the students who are with us today, can explain to you what is their geographical minor. So I'm going to take the examples of the campuses of the students who are not here today. So for example, on the Menton campus, which is located at the French Riviera, it's a campus which actually focuses on the Mediterranean studies. On the Poitiers campus, it's on Latin America. On the Reims campus, it's both on Euro-Africa relations and Euro-transatlantic relations. So basically, we cover all around the world and divided in 7 different campuses, and that's precisely what we are. So we have a very ambitious program. And I would just end up by saying that during the second year, as I said previously, students have to choose a major, and it's a disciplinary major, but they also can choose a minor, which is a geographical minor based on the campuses where they are located.
And maybe, David, you can tell us a few words about you. You can begin by introducing yourself and tell us why you decided to choose the Nancy campus.
Yeah, my name is David. I'm from Germany. I'm a Franco-German student on the campus of Nancy. And I'm in the second year now, started in September 2020. And I went to Sciences Po, and especially Sciences Po Nancy, because on one side I had a Franco-German background because my parents are Franco-German. And on the other side, because I was very interested in European politics, which is one of the main focuses of this campus. So you have different courses in French, in German, and in English, obviously, often related to Germany and France, but also related to the European area in general. And you have different focuses going from law, from geography, history, and this is all related in this Franco-German European idea, which is strongly promoted in this campus environment in Nancy.
Durga, you decided to choose Le Havre campus. Why did you make this choice?
Hello, and I'm originally from India. So then, every time I read the newspaper or I studied more about the social sciences, and I discovered through readings or through my real life, I felt that the Asian focus would really help me. And apart from that, I also felt that I really needed to study European politics and history and law. And I felt that the Europe Asia campus at Le Havre would be the best kind of possibility. And the best kind of regional focus that I would like to have in my regular curriculum, which I would get only at a graduate level elsewhere. So I felt that the Le Havre campus really helped me bridge my own experiences as an Indian student, explore other Asian social realities, and also study it in the context with the rest of the world and Europe in specific.
And for you, Marie-Thérèse, it was also the Nancy campus. Can you introduce yourself and tell us why you make this choice? You should reactivate your mic, Marie-Thérèse, if you can hear me. Marie-Thérèse, we will go back to you, Marie-Thérèse, in a few seconds. I think you have an issue with your mic. You have to activate it.
Start over again.
Perfect.
Sorry. So my name is Marie-Therese Stümpe. I come from northern Germany, and just as David, I'm studying at the Nancy campus. And I chose it as well because we have the European specialization, and the French-German relations play an important role. Therefore, I decided to study there, as we also have a variety of courses we wouldn't have at a regular German university, as I'd say. And having classes in German, but also in French and English is a great variety of languages as well.
Marie-Thérèse, can you tell us what are the different major fields in which it's possible to specialize at Sciences Po?
You're asking to Marie-Thérèse?
Sorry, to you, Stéphanie, sorry.
Well, actually, yes, there are 3 different majors during the second year of the studies, and actually the students need to choose these major during the second year, but they will have to follow this major during the second year when they're abroad, and this is extremely important. So basically what we've done, we have invented 3 different majors. One is called Economy and Society, and actually in French, it's Économie et Société, but with an S. There is no S in English, but there is an S in French, which actually means a lot. And it's a combination of sociology and economy. We have a major called Political Humanities, where basically you combine political philosophy and history. And then a very traditional one for Sciences Po, which is Politique et Gouvernement, politics and government, where basically you have law and political science. And so actually the last 2 ones, the last 2 majors are quite classic, I would say, but the one which is very specific is Economy and Society, where you basically combine, as I said, economy and sociology. So this is what we have decided with permanent faculty at Sciences Po, and the 3 of them are quite popular, the most popular being politics and government, because it's quite traditionally what Sciences Po is about.
And do you also offer dual degrees in the program?
Yes, we do. Actually, yes. Yes, we do. We're a very international institution, and I want to say not in comparison with other universities, but our DNA is to be truly international. You know, when we've been founded at the end, during the last third part of the 19th century, the idea of our founder, Émile Boutmy, was really to train the new elite, French elite at that time, and then it became the European, and it's to decenter their perspective and to really be part of the world where they belong to and to be truly international. So we are very trustful to these, I would say, background and historical background and heritage, I would say. So yes, we have a lot of international partners, and we do have 9 dual degree programs. So I'm not going to lead them one by one, because it's also, you have to do your homework and look at the website and see whether you're interested in these different dual degree. But among them, you find many in Northern America or in, I would say, Indo-Pacific. We have, for example, UBC Vancouver is a really important partner to us. Berkeley University, Columbia University, Keio University, Hong Kong University, NUS, etc. And Freie University. I do not forget Marie-Thérèse and David, your dear, country, Germany. So we have a great program with the Freie University, UCL, etc. So have a look. Each of them are quite different. The common point in between all these dual degree programs is, as I said during the introduction, it's a 4-year program. So you have to be committed to study at the undergrad level for 4 years, 2 years with us and 2 years with our partners. We do have great relations with our partners, meaning that actually you will be followed by an academic advisor, both from Sciences Po and the other partner university. So, and we have many ideas for the development of dual degree programs, but I won't say anything here.
That will be off for the moment.
It will be off right now.
Is it possible to follow English track programs?
Sure, of course, it is. But we have to say, yes, we do have French and English tracks. We call them tracks. So you find, for example, on the Reims campus, mainly the transatlantic program is an English track. On Le Havre campus, as Dorga just said, we have mainly, an English track. You find the same English track in Menton, for example, but it is a francophone track in Dijon, in Nancy, with a lot of German, in Poitiers. And of course, in Paris, it's right now fully a French track. But very important. So if you don't speak French, don't feel shy. If you're interested in doing social sciences and having a European perspective and living and working in a French institution, please welcome. You are welcome. But I would have to say, we would like you to be interested in learning French as well. So you will have to learn French if you're not a Francophone person. And the idea is, for us, not only because it's a beautiful language, it's actually a beautiful language, but also we want you to get accustomed to the idea that you need to learn the language where you live. So imagine in the 3rd year, you go to Japan or Korea or, Egypt, we will ask you to be trained in the language of the countries where you stay. And this is only a sense of, belonging. If you want to contribute and really fully be interested and be part of the society where you live, you need to engage with the people, therefore you need to learn the language. So if you're Francophone, you have to speak English and you have to learn English. And if you're, Anglophone, then you have to, pick up some French to a certain level. And if you get this level quite quickly, then you'll be able to learn a third language. That's why we define ourselves as a bilingual institution. And our undergraduate studies is a bilingual undergrad.
And can you talk also about the QS ranking? What is it exactly?
Oh, with pleasure, because it's a great ranking, actually. We're very proud of it. So it's been a couple of years, I think 3 years now, that we are ranked second in the world, globally. So we are super proud in political science and international relations, and right just after Harvard University. So we are super proud. We're a tiny little country with a great capital, Paris, and 150 years university, Sciences Po, and we are now ranked second. And we are ranked 7th, 9th, and up to 30th in different other disciplines of social sciences. But for what is our DNA, looking at our history, which is international relations and political science, we're just right after a colleague in Harvard, at Harvard University. And at Harvard, every year they worry whether we will become the first one. So happy to talk about the QS ranking anytime.
And that's a perfect transition, because we're now going to talk about the program. And my first question is about the DNA. You just talked a little bit about that, but we are going to focus on it. How would you describe the DNA of the undergraduate studies at Sciences Po?
Okay, so, I think I've started a little bit to talk about it in terms of we're a social sciences university. We're not a comprehensive university. It means, for example, we don't have a medicine school. Yet, we're extremely, extremely dedicated to interdisciplinarity and interdisciplinary programs. Therefore, for example, we are working more and more with life sciences, natural sciences, and combining social sciences and life sciences. We are, we believe in social sciences. We believe that social sciences can not only help us understand how the world works, but can help, our students to change the world. So we're very proud to study sociology, history, philosophy. There are disciplines that really can help someone grow and help this person be part of a community in a way that he or she changes the community. So we are proud of, studying, doing research, and, teaching social sciences. We're also a university dedicated to diversity. In any way you can define diversity, whether it's social diversity, whether it's, political diversity, whether it's aesthetical diversity, whether it's personal, beliefs, and personal diversity. We believe that our curriculum is extremely challenging, and the only way for our students to survive in such, with such a challenging, I would say, curriculum, is also to learn from one another. And how to learn from one another, the best way is to be among a community, within a community which is extremely diverse. And also that's because we would like the students to be tolerant people, to contribute to democratic society, to really, I would say, contribute to the evolution of 21st century in a way which is dedicated to environment, to tolerance, to fighting against populism, against authoritarianism, and so on and so forth. So we are very diverse, and therefore at the undergrad, I'm very proud to say that about 30% of our students are doing their studies under a scholarship. So this is really, really important. And of course, how can we all do that if we were Franco-French? So as I said, our international exposure is definitely part of our DNA, and many more things. But I would feel that it's fair to ask the students what they think about for themselves, from their own perspective, at the age of 20 or 21. What do you think is, how would you define, if I may, how would you define Sciences Po DNA from a student's perspective?
We can begin maybe with David. What is for you the Sciences Po DNA?
For me, it's a group of different topics, of different terms. It's on one side the environment, as Stephanie said, the people you're working with. If it's students or teachers, these are really engaged personalities who want really to work together to build something up. And this is something that brings you through the sometimes pretty hard work, I must say, and creates connections inside the campus, but also outside in your student life. And then there's also the term of perspective. I can say this right now because I'm applying for my third year abroad, and just to discover the amount of possibilities that is offered by Sciences Po in this context is, I think, one important element of its DNA, and it's just one of the best opportunities you can get, I think, in this context, to just be able to study at more than 500 universities, approximately. I'm sure about the exact number, but just to have this possibility is an enormous gift and an important part of Sciences Po's education.
Durga, you're a student in the first year. Maybe you can describe a little bit the different classes that you follow. Can you describe the content, the different topics that you're studying?
Yes, definitely. So in the first year, in the last semester, I had to study history, political science, and law. Basically, it was comparative constitutional law and economics as our core subjects. And apart from that, we also had to do a political humanities course and a complementary reading seminar. And since I'm on the Le Havre campus, which is the Europe Asia campus, our specific political humanity course was centered around the Silk Road and how different kinds of perspectives in terms of art history to economics to sociology, how all these perspectives really entwine to inform us about the Silk Road and its historical influence and how it currently influences until today. And we also had a maths class, and since I'm not fully proficient in French, I also had to take a French class. And everything I felt everything about my studies this semester, and I'm sure it would continue in the next semester, was the interdisciplinary quality, which Dean Stephanie Baum was also talking about, because each discipline really feeds into the way I look at the world. And it's really important to know about other people's perspectives and to really have meaningful and respectful conversations and communication. And I really enjoy that as part of my first year studies. Yeah.
By the different classes that they follow, they can discover the world, they can think about the society we're living in. Stephanie?
Sure. Well, first of all, so I have to say, the students who usually choose to study at Sciences Po and they prepare their application, they're already very interested in, their society, the societies they live in, and they have their own ideas, and they might not be political animals, they might become political animals during the study at Sciences Po, but they have these interests for others, for also, and usually, and that's why the civic learning program is so important for us. The students like to, I would say, to switch or build bridge between theory, what they learn in class, and what they do in terms of actions when it comes to be, involved and engaged in the communities where they live. And so, yes, definitely, I think we don't have passive students who really, we usually have extremely active students, more and more dedicated to environmental issues, to gender studies issue, to international, relations issues. And I'm sure the students who are here, especially I'm thinking of Marie-Thérèse and David, I'm sure you're very interested and committed to European affairs and might also would like to follow in the next semester the French presidency of the European Union, for example. So yes, we do interact very much with very contemporary issues, and I like what Durga says, that she enjoys this sort of kaleidoscopic perspective on any kind of issues that she studies. That's what we're committed to. It's not easy to do. It's very easy to say. It's not easy to do. And as we welcome a lot of international students, we also need both to show our students what might be a European perspective, but also we need to decenter our perspective by bringing into our curriculum the perspective of our students who might, not be Europeans. A lot of them are not Europeans. So that's what I mean by the importance of diversity. You, the students, bring a lot to Sciences Po, as much as I hope Sciences Po, brings a lot to them.
And you've just talked about the Civic Learning Program. What is it exactly?
It's a very important program that we have started to launch 3 years and a half ago. So it's called in French, and I would like use the word in French because it's quite important. It's called Parcours Civic, and we have translated it into Civic Learning Program. Okay, Parcours is sort of path. It's a process. It's a path, right? And Civic, it's basically means citoyen, or it's related to citizenship. Okay, so it's when I started to become I was appointed as a dean 3 years and a half ago. It's not existed yet. My team and myself, we really were the ones who launched the program. And so what it means that we acknowledge the fact that students are again very committed to transform the society, and we would like them also to contribute to society because they are very fortunate to be educated and to be educated in, we hope so, a good university. So, and we know that they can contribute a lot, and by contributing they can also learn a lot of things. So we've decided to launch a program where we ask the students at the end of the first semester of their first year studies at Sciences Po to write a letter, which is called a lettre d'engagement, sort of engagement letter, where the students have to write down what they're interested in. Are you interested in, democratization in terms of education, in environmental studies, in gender studies, whatever. What is your interest? And what are you committed to? What would you like to do? And at the end of the first year, the students have to do an internship, a full month of internship in a given, NGO associations that actually we look through and we give our agreement or not for the students to do this. We have a lot of students engaged in issues of migration, for example, who are working in Greece, in Italy, in France as well, to welcome refugees. You do know that we have an issue with refugees, political issues with refugees in Europe. During the second year, the students, both during the semester 3 and semester 4, have to continue their civic learning program by being engaged on a weekly basis, a couple of hours per week in a given institution. And I would just finish by saying that of course they can continue during the third year abroad, but it's not always easy depending on the type of visa that you hold. What is important is every single student, to be able to get a diploma from Sciences Po, must write a sort of essay, which is called Grand Écrit, which is a capstone project and a capstone essay on the project linked to the civic learning program. And this civic learning program explains what has been the experience of the students on the ground, makes a link with the content of the different courses of their majors and minors, so theory and practice are connected, and can do either a research track paper or a sort of policy track paper where the students have the opportunity to, for example, list a series of recommendations to the institution where he or she has worked. So this is what we do. It's an extra curriculum activity, but definitely very much connected to the content of the courses and the curriculum.
For you, David, for instance, what are your activities in the frame of the civic learning program?
So I was also interested in the topic of migration and especially in the topic of integration of refugees. And therefore I worked in an association which teaches the French language to kids, but also to adults, and helps also younger students with their homework, especially because of the language barrier they're having. So this was a work which I did in during the holidays between the first and the second year for 1 month, and was really enriching work. I learned a lot of people, made a lot of connections to new cultures, new nations, and I pursued this work in my third semester And as Stephanie Baum said, you have like 3 to 5 hours per week where you work for your civic program. And it's really something that, as she said, connects parts of the academic things you're learning with practical things. And it's something that I really think is important to connect, on one side, the theory with the practice.
You, Marie-Thérèse, can you tell us a few words about your civic learning engagements?
So actually, as I just finished my first semester, I haven't started the hands-on activities yet. But as Ms. Baum has said, I'm currently in the stage of reflecting on my lettre d'engagement, as we're going to hand it in by February. So what really shows here is that it is a process of the civic learning program. It's not something that is just done in a month. It really follows our studies. And then I will be doing my stage as well in June, probably for a month, which I'm thinking about now and with my lettre d'engagement. So I'm planning to work with younger students, probably in a youth center.
It's really, really interesting. David, can you describe the major that you decided to choose this year and the reasons why you decided to choose it?
So I choose the major of Politique et Gouvernement, which is one of the more traditional majors. The reasons for me were very different. On one side, through the first year at Sciences Po, you have the ability to just orientate yourself, get to know with the different courses, and I just learned very quickly that I'm very much interested in law. There is a course named Institution Politique, which compares different political systems and their rules and constitutions with each other, and this was really captivating for me, and I want to go more into detail to learn more about this. And so far, I choose Politique et Gouvernement. And right now I have different courses, or I had different courses in the first semester. One is called Droit constitutionnel de la Cinquième République. So it concentrates on the French constitution, but I also had a seminar on European law, international relations also. So the focus is still broad, but also linked to the major itself, and you still have the possibility, and this is, I think, an important feature to mention, to take seminars that are maybe not linked directly to your major. So if you still want to know something about sociology, then there are still seminars open to you, which you can choose. So on one side, the very focused learning for the major, and on the other side, a smaller part where you still have the ability to choose certain smaller detailed interests.
What is the specificity, Stephanie, of the third year of study?
Well, in itself, it's quite specific because very few universities around the world, especially at the bachelor level, offer the students to go abroad for 1 year. It's usually a couple of weeks or a semester at best, but never 2 semesters. And it's possible for us because through the years, we have established an extremely extensive, as David said, international, partnership. We have built a lot of international partnerships with almost 500 universities, and I would say 40%, 50% of them within Europe, and we have extensive relations with them. So, and we do welcome a lot of exchange students as well at Sciences Po. So it's very specific in itself to be able to go abroad for 1 year out of your 3 years with us. And secondly, the second specificity is, again, I think I mentioned it earlier on, is that you continue somehow your studies as if you were at Sciences Po, but in a different environment. Because you do need to continue your major. You won't be able to get your diploma if you do not validate the necessary number of courses in your different majors. Therefore, what is very interesting is you might be located in Nancy, just like Marie-Thérèse and David, but you you choose where you want to go abroad. You do not need if you don't want to stick to the the region of your campus. In the case of Nancy, that would be the Franco-German or the western part of Europe zone. If you want to go abroad, and I believe David wants to, for example, to go to Canada, you absolutely can do that. But provided that you choose a university where you can follow the courses that will help you validate your major. And this is very important. Therefore, we have now a new generation of students who do not say anymore, I want to go to the US just to go to the US. I don't want to go to, they don't say I want to go to Egypt or Korea just because they choose a country. But they choose a university, and even more, they choose a department in one university because what they are interested in is the type of courses that offer that given university. And this is very important, extremely important. In that way, we're quite, I believe, specific to many other universities. You can also choose to continue your civic learning program. And last but not least, the third year is either a full year of study, meaning that you will have to follow 2 semesters of courses, or if you're a good student, and what we know, we have a jury and we select the students, etc., meaning that if you're able to validate all the courses of your major at the end of the first semester of the third year, okay, meaning that you can get your diploma, you can do an internship, meaning that you can do 1 year abroad, divided in 2 semesters, a first semester of study and a second semester of internship, provided that the academic advisors of your campus agree on it, because we follow the every single path of our students. But we wanted to give the opportunity to our students to have, these sort of experience abroad, which is an experience which is very complementary to, I would say, regular study in a semester in a university.
We have now a good perspective about Sciences Po and the program and the ideas and DNA of the undergraduate program. We are now going to talk about admission, how to get into Sciences Po and how to join the bachelor's degree program. With you, Anita, my first question is really easy. Do you require a specific background to apply?
Well, actually, it's not such an easy question. It's a tricky question. We do not require a specific background as such, though obviously strong academic skills, along with many qualities, are necessary to succeed at Sciences Po. But Sciences Po takes pride in welcoming a large variety of profiles and aims to recruit individuals with a combination of talents, passions, interests. We strongly believe that our reformed admission process gives a chance for all talented young individuals from different educational, social, intellectual backgrounds to join our institution. In saying that, obviously, some eligibility criteria will apply, and the main one is that our candidates must be currently in their last year of secondary school when applying to the Sciences Po Bachelor.
And what are the different steps for the admission?
The admission process can be divided into 2 parts. First, the application part and then the interview. So the first 3 evaluations constitute the application, for which the candidate receives 3 marks. A mark out of 20 for the candidate's performance in their baccalaureate exams, or its equivalent, or its foreign equivalent. A mark out of 20 for the candidate's academic performance throughout the last 3 years of secondary school. And finally, a mark out of 20 for the written pieces. And candidates who have obtained the necessary mark will be invited to an interview, which is the 4th and final step for admission. And this admission process, this is really important, is common, is the same, exactly the same for all candidates, whether they are studying in France or abroad, whether they are preparing the French baccalaureate or its equivalent abroad.
And how and when should the student apply to the Sciences Po Bachelor?
The admission calendar and its process vary depending on the candidate's profile. So first of all, the main the criteria to determine which pathway the candidate would go through is the nationality of his or her diploma. If the candidate is preparing the French baccalaureate, whether it's in France or abroad, he or she will need to apply through Parcoursup, the national French platform. Here, the national calendar applies. The platform will open on the 20th of January. The deadline for submitting preferences is by end of March, and the interviews will be taking place in May. The admissions results will be published early June, on the 2nd of June. Now, if the candidate, sorry, I have a sound. If the candidate is preparing a foreign secondary school diploma, he or she will need to apply through the Sciences Po platform. And the calendar is slightly different. The international pathway is on a rolling admission mode, and it's opened from November to end of April. So the last submission date is the 27th of April. The date the candidate receives the admission results depends on the date the candidate submits the completed application. It takes approximately 7 weeks for the application to be processed from the start of the application, when we receive the application, until the admission, the communication of admission results. As for dual degrees, the same process will apply, but please note that some dual degree applications will be made through our partners' websites, platforms. You need to carefully check. I invite all candidates interested in the dual degrees programs to check our admissions website, where there's a dedicated web page with all the timelines, the process, and the different platforms to go through to apply to these dual degrees.
Durga, you have been a student of the Bachelor for a few months now. How did your application process go? What are your memories of all these different steps?
Yes, so I personally had a very positive experience during the application process. Firstly, because it was very clear, all details were really clearly mentioned on the website. And what I really found the most rewarding in terms of preparing my application was the fact that I had to really get engaged with Sciences Po. I read a lot about Sciences Po based on what's available on websites, on videos, and I read through the syllabus and things like that to really understand what really the Sciences Po experience constitutes. And I felt that kind of immersion in what Sciences Po is, what values Sciences Po stands for, and discovering how those values really intertwined with my worldview and the kind of opportunities I had. So that process was really interesting. And then once I felt this personally, that getting involved in in what Sciences Po has to offer really helped me write my application in a very coherent and meaningful way, and that really translated to my interview. And I was initially a little concerned about my interview. I was wondering what I could expect and things like that. But then I found after my interview experience, I was really happy because it was more of a learning experience where I had the chance to discuss with two very fantastic and very friendly professors from my campus at Le Havre, and we had a really friendly and meaningful discussion about my interests, about my area of about the region of specialization at my Sciences Po campus, and a discussion which was very knowledgeable, and I took back a lot from the whole application process, and that's what I really appreciate about the application process, because it's a very complete and immersive experience.
And might I sometimes, as a candidate, we're a little bit afraid of the personal statement. What would be your advice in order to have a good personal statement?
I guess my number one advice would definitely be to just take your time, because there is a certain time frame in which you can do your application, and such a written piece isn't done in half an hour. So I guess a good idea is just to write it and then to let it rest, to take on again, and to just take your time for your application. And the best thing, and that's my second advice, is always just to be yourself, to try to stick to your ideas as well, and to express your ideas and your mind, and give it a try. If it's what really is passionate for you, then it will be fine.
Stephanie, is it possible maybe to be a little bit original in the personal statement to show our personality? I don't know if we like to write a little bit differently to the other people, or is it good to be casual, to be strict?
Sure, we only want casual. We only select exactly the same kind of students. No. I really enjoyed the answer by Marie-Thérèse, I have to say. I couldn't, put it differently. Give you, and I would just add, because I'm sure the potential students have already listened to what she said, and I really think this is exactly what you need to do. I would say enjoy. Take a little bit of pleasure in doing it. Actually, it's your moment. When you're high school students, it's been 15 years that you've been, in a system, whether it's secondary school, primary school, wherever you come from. So basically, it's been 15 years that you've followed a system that you have to follow to get this diploma, which is the access to, university education. And so it's your moment. It's a moment for you to reflect on what you really want to do, not for the entire life, but simply for undergraduate studies. And if you want to join a Bachelor of Arts, that's exactly what it means, a BA, a Bachelor of Arts, and it's also called a Bachelor of Liberal Arts. And in between these three words, the most important one is liberal. And in liberal, you hear the word freedom, liberty, So really, it's your moment to really think. And if you really think about what you want to study, what are you passionate about, then you will perform extremely well. So do not copy paste, any other letters from anywhere else. Just, you might ask your friends or your relatives what they think about it, but at the end of the day, it has to be your letter. Make sure and be sure that we know, with the experience of ours, we know when a letter has been written by someone else but the candidate. So, so yes, and express yourself. Try to be, I would say more individual, specific, original, you would say, if you want to, and if you don't want to, then that will be your letter. So have a really close look on who we are, what kind of courses do we offer, and picture yourself as a potential Sciences Po candidate. And imagine yourself in September at Sciences Po, what you will study, for which reason, and can you picture yourself in the next 3 years with us? That's the only answer you have to give us.
David, another important part is the interview. How did you prepare for the interview, and what would be your advice to have a successful interview at Sciences Po?
So the preparation for the interview, I think, has to take different steps. It's on one side something that really lasts, and I would stick to the words of Marie-Thérèse. Take your time. This means read a lot, but not only the week before the interview. Be interested in many different topics, in what is happening right now in the world. Have an own opinion on certain topics. Be able to just express what you think. Be critic for certain things. And one of the most important things you should do is be able to prove your own interests in this interview. If, for example, if you're interested in media or in politics in general, you're interested in a certain party, then why don't get into this party, take responsibilities, and be able to prove this engagement when you in the interview, when you're there with two professors of Sciences Po, that ask you certain questions, then say, I personally experienced in this context certain things. This marked myself. I want to engage in this context. So really be able to share a perspective and to prove your own interests while questioning the world around yourself.
And Anita, once admitted, there is different steps to come to France, different administrative steps. How do you help, and what kind of tools do you provide to the students when they have to follow these steps to come to study in France?
We have different Sciences Po services dedicated to welcoming our international students. So once they have succeeded in the application phase, they become students, and we as admission team, we do not longer get in touch with them, but we know we have colleagues at Sciences Po who are in charge of welcoming them, who are here to guide them for the first weeks, the first months at Sciences Po, and throughout the entire time during their bachelor and then maybe their master at Sciences Po. So we also have some specific welcoming programs which are being organized every year, and yes, that they must feel confident that they will not be forgotten as they arrive. They will be welcomed by our Sciences Po community, whether it's professors, the different services, support services, and of course, obviously, the alumni community.
Thanks a lot, Anita, for all this information regarding the admission process. We are now going to talk about the student life at Sciences Po. Before that, we are going to watch a little trailer, a little video to discover more about Sciences Po, and we will be back just after that. So that was a video to discover the new campus in Paris, and in a few minutes we are going to discover the different other campuses, the 7 campuses of Sciences Po in all around France. We are now going to talk about student life with this first question for you, Stephanie. Can you describe what the student experience is on the different campuses?
Well, as a dean, maybe I'm not the right person to talk about students' life. Actually, I guess the students will know more than me. What I can say for sure is that we have a great number of associations at Sciences Po, whether it's a bachelor level or the master level. associations dedicated to readings, to political association, environmental association, gender based associations, sport activities. So many of them. And so we have a very, very rich student life. And what I can say is, of course, it's common to the whole institution, but very specific depending on the campus where the students live, right? So, and it's because it can be, you can be located in a small city, like I'm thinking of Dijon, for example. Reims is much bigger, and also the campus is really enormous with 1,500 students almost. So it really, really depends on where you are. The common ground is that the Life Association is super, I would say, active at Sciences Po. And then it really depends on the locality where you are, where you do your study. And that's because most of associations are not only dedicated to Sciences Po, and although there are Sciences Po students, but also there are activities dedicated to the community where the students live. So it's not only an entre-soi, as entre-soi, it's also an English word. So it's not only entre-soi, but it's also students' life. For example, I can give you a very interesting example, which is we have a presidential election on the way in France. So this is quite interesting for the candidates. So we're going to elect a new president for France. And so the students are very committed to this presidential election. Right now, they are very committed in organizing conferences, seminars, inviting candidates. And so this is a political activity, which is one example among many others. But there is another one, which is completely different, and we call it les collégiades. So the collégiades, which they couldn't be organized these last 2 years because of the pandemic, but we definitely hope that in May this year, the students will be able to organize it. And it's a sort of Olympics in between the 7 different campuses. And it's dedicated to art, music, and sports. And so the students are really, really committed to this.
Durga, for instance, can you describe a little bit the life that you have as a student at Sciences Po?
Yes, definitely. So on our campus, we have lots of different associations, and everyone's really passionate about getting involved in these associations and life beyond what we encounter in class. And for instance, we have like a very, very wide variety of clubs, ranging from thrift shops to identity-based South Asian clubs or East Asian clubs, and we also have sports-based clubs because we are located in a port city. There are students who are really passionate about sailing, and there's a sailing club that meets every weekend to go out and sail and to enjoy themselves beyond everyday kind of encounters. And also, and it's not just restricted to associations within the campus. We are constantly informed about opportunities outside, like, for instance, I'm involved with an NGO about East Asian Affairs. It's called Society for East Asian Affairs. And there are lots of interest-based activities. We interview people to know about experiences. So there's a whole variety of ranges, a variety of activities people can get engaged with, and it's really up to you as to how you want to prioritize your time outside of class. Yeah.
And David, you have been student for now 2 years. What is, for now, your best memory as a Sciences Po student?
Oh, that's a pretty tough question. One of the best memories, I think, was maybe the first 2 weeks when I started at Sciences Po in September 2020. In a matter of seconds, I think I just understood that what would happen right now would maybe be one of the most intense and most exciting parts of my student life so far. Starting with the integration week, which was just unnormal to see so many new people, to learn so many new things. In just 2 weeks, there's the BDE on the campus, which I'm part now too. that organized a lot of great events, and just this 2 first weeks, I think, were the most important and the best moment I had so far. But also when you get out of the last exam, for example, and you just realize the amount of work that finally provides you the nice moment at the end, when you just realize how much you learned and what it really pays off to work hard for something. That's also one of the best moments, I think, when you study at Sciences Po.
Do you provide accommodation services on the different campuses?
Well, no, not actually, no. So we have, we call them campus, but they're campus in the French, according to the French definition, not in English or Anglo-Saxon world definition. So there is no, we don't have, in-house services for the students, but except in Paris, our students usually very easily find ways to where to stay. And in average, but I think Anita knows that more than myself, actually, in average, most of students live less than 10 minutes away from the campus. So wherever the cities where we are located, it's pretty easy for the students to find a place to stay, and they're usually, classmates and roommates at the same time. And it's not really
Yes, I confirm.
but yes, please, Anita, you know that more than I.
Yes, no, I can just say that I totally confirm what you say, Stephanie. It's not usually, except for Paris, maybe, where it might be a bit more difficult to find an accommodation and probably more expensive than elsewhere. It's usually not a big issue for our admitted candidates and our students to find an accommodation. So it's not a big issue, and we do have an accommodation dedicated team who can help and liaise with the students in order to help them with the administrative part of the accommodation, rentals and things like that. So yes, it's not a big issue for students to find accommodation. And like Stephanie said, it's very easy to share a flat. I mean, it's very common to share flats, and probably between students as well from second and third years, I probably have many tricks and maybe many advices to give to our new coming students. So,
And we're now going to talk about what happens after the bachelor, once you're graduated. Dinbalm, to begin, can you tell us what it's possible to do after the bachelor?
Yeah, that is an extremely important question for all the students in general, but also I would say for the students who apply to Sciences Po. Because what we do, we're not a comprehensive university, but we offer the 3 levels of higher education in a way that we do bachelor, master's, and PhD programs at Sciences Po. And what we've decided to do, we've decided that that when we select our students can, if they want, pursue their studies at the master level at Sciences Po. So if you are selected to our university, you'll be able to stay with us for 3 years, or 4 if you do a dual degree program, or 5 years or 6 years if you continue your master with us. So it's your entire decision. We believe that we select our students in a way which is quite, intense, and we believe in our training programs. Therefore, we don't see the need of selecting our students between the BA and the bachelor and the master degree. So I would say that about 80% of our students who are enrolled from the undergraduate level continue to study at the master level. So first answer, very simply put, but very important for you, you can continue your study with us until you are graduated from your master. And if you want to continue at a PhD level, you can also do that. Then you can also, of course, leave us for another university. You can also do a gap year in between the bachelor and the master. If you do not do your gap year in between the bachelor and the master, you can do your gap year in between M1 and M2, in between the 2 different years of your master studies, okay? There is no selection, as I said, between the bachelor and the master level, except for the journalism school. because journalism school is very specific in France, actually. There is what is called a numerus clausus, and so only 80 students somehow, make the, are selected every year for the journalism school. But for the other school, there is no selections. The students usually do, they basically, I would say, explain the two main and the two key, choices that what is they have in mind. It basically they list two masters, and then they will get either the choice 1 or choice 2, depending on what the academic advisor, advised to them. So this is what they do. And at the very end, I would say, if you ask yourself, what kind of job will I do if I hold a bachelor at Sciences Po and a master at Sciences Po, you can provide it based on the statistics and data that we get every year from our alumni. There is a huge diversity of possibilities. On the contrary to a preconceived idea, actually, majority of our students join the private sector, not only the public sector. When they do enroll the public sector, they also do. They can basically perform in many different tasks and do many different kind of jobs. So the main and key word is diversity. We have alumni among the who are diplomats, who are CEOs, who are academics, who are journalists, or whatever. So there is a huge diversity, and so basically holding a diploma from Sciences Po give you open the door to many different possibilities depending on your own dreams.
And we're going to talk about dreams with the students with us. David, what is your dream? What do you want to do after the bachelor? Do you already know?
I don't know specifically what I want to do when I accomplish my bachelor or my master's at Sciences Po. But in the last semester, I really got interested into international relations, into law and international courts, and maybe one day to work in such an institution to defend human rights and to engage in this environment. It's something that really was fascinating for me, and I'd love to work there. So maybe one day this is possible for me. I don't know.
That's a good dream. That's a good dream for you, Marie-Thérèse. What do you want to do after the bachelor? Do you already know?
I am actually considering to stay at Sciences Po. I could well imagine to continue my studies in a master's degree, but by now I'm focusing on my civic learning program, on my third year abroad, on my bachelor studies, because I'm pretty sure that the bachelor and the civic learning program, they might still influence my choice.
And you, Durga, what would be the next steps? Do you already know?
Yes, so I am really interested in continuing my studies until the PhD level and to become a researcher specific to the social sciences and in legal history in specific. And I feel that my experiences in my first semester and the kind of experiences I'm looking forward to in the next semesters really would help me discover my interests more and to constantly explore and to rediscover myself. And also my decision to continue in research and in is largely driven by the level of passion I see in my teachers that I saw in my first semester. They're extremely passionate about sharing their research and to including students in I was able to approach my professors with research projects, and they were really helpful in terms of guiding it. And yes, so my future plans are driven towards research.
Maybe a future professor at Sciences Po, who knows, in a few years after a PhD.
I'd love to be a supervisor, Durga.
We are now at the end of this live session, but before concluding, maybe, Dean Balm, you can tell us what would be your last advice for the students watching us today and planning to come to France to study and to come to Sciences Po.
To come to Sciences Po, one advice. There is a really beautiful word in French, which is le livre. It's a book. I really advise you to read. I think David said it earlier on. Read, 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 and read again. Reading is a very interesting exercise where you need to concentrate. You dream a lot through readings, and it built up your interest, it built up your way of writing. It basically helps you understand who you truly are. And so I would say, yes, read and read again whatever you're interested in, whether it's manga, social sciences, novels, whatever, but read as much as you can. And this is really the best advice anyone can give you. Read it before you join us and after you join us, once you're a student.
Thanks a lot to the fifth of you for having been with us today, and thanks to you for having watched us. If you still have questions about Sciences Po, don't hesitate to visit the website of Sciences Po. And we're going to conclude with a little video to discover more the 7 campuses of Sciences Po. See you soon on Campus France Live.